In the cold silence of a dead world, a small creature sat alone among the ruins. Dust floated in the air like old memories. Buildings were broken. The sky was always gray. There was no sun, no music, no voices. Only silence. And fear. His name was Kiro. He was not human. His skin was pale blue. His eyes were big, shining like stars, full of sadness. Kiro was just a child, maybe 10 years old in human age. But he had already seen war, fire, and death. Once, his planet was full of life. Trees, oceans, flying birds, laughter. But one day, giant ships came from the sky. They were made of black metal. They made a sound like thunder, and they brought fire. Fire that never stopped. Kiro's people fought back, but they were weak. Their weapons were old. Their hearts were kind. The invaders were not. Among the soldiers, there were humans. Kiro was told many stories about humans. They are monsters, the elders said. They kill without feeling. They want to own everything. So, when the war began, everyone was afraid. Of them, Dakiero remembered the day his mother hid him under the floor of their small home. "Don't make a sound," she whispered. "No matter what happens." Then she left. And never came back. That was 11 days ago. Since then, Kiro had survived. By hiding, he ate dried roots. He drank rainwater from broken pipes. He didn't cry anymore. There were no tears left. Only silence. Until today. Today, he heard a sound. Like loud ships or flying bombs. This was softer, slower. Footsteps. Someone was walking through the ruins. Kiro's heart started to race. He crawled deeper into the shadows, behind a broken wall. He held his breath. His thin fingers gripped a sharp stone, just in case. Then he saw him. A tall figure, wearing heavy armor. Tate, a helmet with a black visor. A long weapon in his hands. A human soldier. Kiro's body froze. His mind screamed, "Don't move, he will kill you." But something was different. The soldier wasn't walking fast. He was moving carefully, like he didn't want to step on anything. His head turned slowly, as if searching. Then the soldier stopped. He looked straight at Kiro's hiding place. Kiro's breath stopped. The soldier didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he slowly knelt down. He placed the weapon on the ground. Then, he removed his helmet. Kro was shocked. The human had tired eyes. A beard covered his face. He looked strong, but not scary. He looked sad. "I know you're there," the man said in a low, calm voice. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." Kiro didn't answer. He didn't move. The soldier reached into his backpack and pulled out a small silver packet. He opened it and placed something soft and warm on a flat rock. "Food," he said. "You must be hungry." Still, Kiro didn't move. He didn't trust him. The soldier sat down on the dusty ground. He didn't come closer. He just waited. Minutes passed. "I lost someone too," the man said. "My name is James. Captain James. Rainer, my home is far from here." Kiro's eyes watched him closely. Every movement. Every word. "I didn't want this war," James continued. "I just follow orders. But when I see a child hiding in rubble, hungry and scared, I can't follow those orders anymore." He looked straight at Kiro's eyes. "I'm not your enemy." Kiro's body slowly relaxed, but only a little. His legs were tired. His stomach was empty. He looked at the food, then at James. He took one small step forward, then another. He picked up the food, sniffed it, tasted it. His eyes widened. It was warm and soft, like sweet bread. He ate quickly. James smiled. "There you go." Suddenly, Kiro's knees gave out. His body was too weak. He fell to the ground. James rushed forward, but gently. He caught the boy in his arms. "Hey, stay with me," he whispered. Kiro's voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Why? ... You help." Me. James looked at the broken buildings, at the empty sky, at the ruins of a beautiful world, because no one helped me. When I was small, Kiro looked up at him. His eyelids were heavy. "I don't want to be alone." "You're not alone anymore," James said. Kiro closed his eyes and fell asleep in the arms of a human soldier. Kiro woke up to something strange. Warmth for the first time in days, maybe weeks. His body did not feel cold. A soft blanket covered him. The air was clean. Lights above were soft and yellow, like fake sunlight. Somewhere nearby, he heard a machine, beeping slow and steady. He was lying on a small bed. The walls around him were made of metal. Everything looked smooth, shiny, and strange. This wasn't his world. Panic rose inside him. His eyes darted around. He tried to sit up, but felt weak. Tubes were connected to his arm. His chest hurt, then dash footsteps. Kiro single quotes, his heart jumped. He remembered. The human, the soldier. James. The door opened. He walked in, wearing a dark jacket now. Instead of armor, no helmet. His face looked tired but calm. In his hands, he carried a tray with food. "You're awake," James said, voice soft. "That's good. You scared me for a while." Kiro didn't reply. He stared, unsure. He remembered the stories. Humans were cold, dangerous, unforgiving. But this one's not like the others. "I brought you some broth," James said, placing the tray near the bed. "You probably can't eat solid food yet." Kiro said nothing. "I'm not going to hurt you," James added. "I don't expect you to trust me. Not yet." Still, Kiro didn't speak. He watched every movement. Like a cornered animal, James sat down on a chair across the room. He didn't come closer. "You're inside my ship," he said. "It's small, but safe. The war zone's behind us now." War. That word still burned inside Kiro's chest. He remembered the screams, the fires. The day his world ended, he looked at the man who claimed to save him. Why? Why did a human care? As if reading his thoughts, James spoke again. "You probably think I'm a monster," he said. "You're not wrong. I've done things I'm not proud of, but I didn't come to your planet to destroy it." Kiro's lips parted slightly. Then, "Why did you come?" James looked at him for a long time. "I was sent. Orders. Your people were seen as a threat. The higher-ups said you were building weapons." "That's not true," Kiro whispered. James nodded. "I believe you." Silence filled the room again. Only the soft beep of the machines broke it. "I lost my daughter," James said after a while. "She was your age. 7 years ago. Earth was attacked by a different alien race. They didn't care who they killed. She was in school. I couldn't save her." Kiro looked away. The pain in James's voice was real. "I joined the army after that," he continued. "I wanted to stop more monsters. But somewhere along the way, I became one." Kiro turned back toward him. His voice was quiet. "You're not a monster." James smiled faintly. "Neither are you." For the first time, something inside Kiro softened. Just a little. He reached out, slowly, and took the bowl of broth. His hands were shaking. James didn't help. He just watched. "You should rest more," James said. "There's no rush. You're safe here." Kiro nodded slowly. "Thank you." James stood to leave. Kiro spoke again. "What will happen to me?" James paused at the door. "I don't know. Technically, I'm breaking the law. I'm not supposed to bring alien survivors on board. Command finds out." He didn't finish the sentence. Kiro's eyes widened. Then why? Why did you do it? James looked back. Because when I saw you hiding in that rubble, I saw my daughter, scared, alone. And I made a promise to myself that day, if I ever saw a child like her again, I wouldn't walk away. He left the room. Kiro sat there, holding the warm bowl in his lap. He had been ready to die, ready to disappear like the rest of his people. But now, something strange had begun. A small spark of hope. The next day, he woke up early. James was in the cockpit, steering the ship. He looked focused, but not tense. Kiro watched quietly from the door. Sleep okay? James asked without turning. Yes, Kiro said. Better than the floor. James chuckled. Yeah, floors aren't great beds. Kiro walked up slowly and sat beside him. Outside the window, stars moved like tiny silver fish in a dark ocean. It was beautiful. Where are we going? Kiro asked. A place called Arc 9, James replied. It's far, but it's quiet. No war. No orders. Is it home? James looked at him. Not yet. But maybe it can be for the first time. In a long time, Kiro smiled. But far behind them, in the shadows of space, a red light blinked, a silent signal. Someone had noticed the ship, and someone was coming. The stars outside the window blinked like cold eyes in the dark. Kiro sat in the small ship's cockpit, watching them. He had never left his planet before. Never imagined space could be so quiet, yet so endless. James was sitting beside him, adjusting the controls. His hands moved smoothly, like he had done this 1,000 times. Are all human ships this small? Kiro asked. Voice soft, James smiled. No, this one's mine. I call her Sparrow. Fast, light, and not made for war. Just enough for one man to run, or to hide. Kiro tilted his head. Are we hiding? James didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed on the stars. Then he said, yes. Kiro looked down at his hands. The skin on his fingers was healing. The bruises on his arms were fading. But inside, he still felt broken. Why did they kill us? He asked quietly. We never attacked first. James sighed. Because fear makes people do terrible things. Some humans think anything different is dangerous. They didn't try to understand your kind. They just followed orders. You followed them too, Kiro said, looking up at him. I did. James nodded. And I'll never forgive myself for that. Silence filled the room. Then Kiro asked, why did you stop? Why did you help me? James leaned back in his chair. His voice was low. Because when I saw you hiding in that rubble, you looked like someone I lost. Kiro waited. My daughter's name was Ellie, James continued. She had the same eyes, curious, brave. She was killed in a school attack. By someone we were supposed to be at peace with. I'm sorry, Kiro whispered. James nodded. Me too. I joined the army after that. I thought fighting would bring me peace, but it didn't. He looked at Kiro now fully. When I found you, something inside me changed. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a soldier. I felt like a father again. Kiro blinked. Unsure what to say, he had never known his father. His mother had raised him alone. The war had taken everything. Are you still a soldier now? He asked. James smiled sadly. No, now I'm just a man trying to keep a promise. Kiro looked out the window again. What promise? James leaned forward. His voice was firm, but gentle. To protect you, no matter what, till we find a place where no one will hurt you again. Kiro's throat felt tight. No one had promised him anything before. Not since his mother whispered goodbye. I want to believe you, he said. Then believe me, James replied. I won't leave you. For the first time, Kiro believed. Those words, not just heard them, felt them. He stood up and went to the sleeping area. There, in the dark, he lay down and whispered to himself, I'm not alone. But deep in space, far from the safety of their small ship, something else moved. A large black cruiser drifted silently through the shadows. No signal, no lights. Only one red eye, blinking slowly at its center. Inside that ship, a human voice spoke over a comm system. We've located the Sparrow. Unauthorized pickup confirmed. One alien survivor on board. Pilot, Captain James Rayner. Status, another voice replied. Heading to Ward Arc 9. No escort. Light shields, intercept. The command was clear. Back on the Sparrow. James, check the navigation again. A red warning flashed across the screen. Tracking signal detected. His jaw tightened. He stood up and walked to Kiro's room. The boy was awake, staring at the ceiling. We have to change course, James said. Kiro sat up. What's wrong? Someone's found us. Fear flashed across Kiro's face. The army, maybe, James said. Or worse, he knelt beside the bed. I need you to trust me again, okay? Things might get dangerous. Kiro nodded slowly. I trust you. James stood, moving quickly to the controls. Good, then let's disappear. The ship dove into a nearby asteroid field. Rocks the size of mountains floated silently in the dark. James steered carefully, weaving between them like a bird through a forest. Kiro sat in the co-pilot's seat again, holding tight. What happens if we crash? He asked. James grinned. Then we become space pancakes. Kiro laughed just a little. His first real laugh. Behind them, the black cruiser entered the field. But it wasn't alone. 3 more dots appeared on James's radar. Kiro's eyes widened. We're surrounded. James didn't panic. His fingers moved fast. Not yet. He tapped a red button. The ship dropped a cloud of tiny signal bombs. The radar scrambled. One of the cruisers vanished from the screen. Hit by debris. Another turned away. But the third was still following James. Activated a hidden tunnel between asteroids and disappeared from the path. The signal faded. For now. They were safe. But only for now. That night, as the ship floated quietly in deep space, James brought Kiro a blanket. Try to sleep, he said. Kiro looked up. What if they find us again? James smiled gently. Then I'll protect you. That's my promise. Kiro curled up under the blanket. His eyes closed slowly. James watched him for a moment, then whispered into the darkness, just a little longer. I'll get you home. The stars outside no longer looked peaceful. They looked like eyes watching, waiting. The Sparrow was drifting quietly near a dead moon. Engines powered down. Lights dimmed. Captain James had put the ship in stealth mode. It wasn't part of any plan. It was survival inside. Kiro sat alone, staring at a small glass panel near his bed. It showed a picture of a planet green, bright and beautiful. Earth, he didn't know if it was real or just an image. But he kept looking at it. He wanted to believe in a place like that. Suddenly, a low beep echoed from the hallway. Kiro stood up, cautious. He walked softly toward the sound. It came from a half-open door near the cockpit. He peeked inside. It was a communications room, small, dusty. A red light blinked on an old screen. One message. Incoming curious. Kiro stepped closer. The screen flashed to life. Captain James. Raynar, you are in violation of Intergalactic Regulation Code 7. Return to base immediately. You are carrying unauthorized alien cargo. Failure to comply will result in arrest or termination. Kiro's blood ran cold. He wasn't supposed to hear this. The message repeated. Kiro backed away, hands shaking. James was risking everything for him. He turned to leave, but James was already standing at the door. Kiro froze. I didn't mean to listen, he whispered. James looked at the screen behind him, then back at Kiro. His expression wasn't angry. It was tired, like someone carrying a heavy secret. It's okay, James said quietly. He walked in and shut the message off. So it's true, Kiro said. They want to punish you because of me. James didn't answer. Kiro's voice trembled. Then, leave me. Drop me on some planet. You can still be safe. No, James said firmly. I made a promise. They'll kill you. Kiro cried. James knelt in front of him. Then I'll die keeping my word. Kiro's eyes filled with tears. Why? I'm no one. James shook his head. You're not no one. You're the reason I still believe I can be better. There was a long silence. Then James stood up, walked to the control panel, and pressed a button. The screen changed again, but this time, it wasn't a warning, it was a recording. A soft, static-filled voice came through. A young girl's voice. Hi, Daddy. It's Ellie. Kiro looked up in surprise. James stared at the screen, his jaw tight. I know you're busy on your space trip. The recording continued, but I miss you. Mommy says you'll be home soon. I drew you a picture of a rocket. You always liked rockets. A small laugh echoed in the background. I hope you're safe. Don't be too serious all the time, okay? Smile. Even if the sky is dark, smile anyway. The voice ended. The screen faded to black. That was the last message she ever sent me, James said. Kiro didn't speak. He could feel James's pain, raw, deep, and real. She believed the world was kind, James whispered. And I want to believe that again. I want you to believe it too. Kiro wiped his eyes. Do you think I'll ever have a real home again? James looked at him. I think we'll build one. Together. Just then, the ship shook slightly. Not a hit, but a signal, an incoming ship. James ran to the cockpit. Kiro followed. On the radar, a small vessel was approaching. Fast. No ID, no call signal. Pirates. Kiro asked. Maybe, James said. Or bounty hunters. Kiro looked afraid. Because of me. James gritted his teeth. Because some people still think kindness is a crime. He activated the emergency boosters. Hold on tight. Sparrow jumped forward, weaving through space debris. The unknown ship followed. Lasers flew. Shields flickered. Kiro gripped the chair. We can't outrun them, Kiro shouted. I know, James yelled back. We're not going to outrun them. He pulled the Sparrow into a spin and turned sharply. Into a meteor field. The enemy ship hesitated. Kiro was thrown sideways in his seat. Are we crashing? No, James grinned. We're disappearing. The ship dove into the shadow of a massive rock, powering down again. The enemy passed right by. Silence. They had vanished. Breathing hard, James leaned back. Kiro stared at him. That was close. James laughed softly. Too close. Kiro looked out at the stars again. I used to think space was beautiful. It still is, James replied. But beauty doesn't mean safety. Kiro nodded. Or kindness. James looked at him. That's why we hold on to it. Later that night, Kiro lay in bed, awake. He replayed the voice in his mind. Even if the sky is dark, smile anyway. Maybe that's what James was doing, and maybe he could do it too. Space was no longer quiet. Red lights flashed across the Sparrow's control panel. Sirens beeped low, warning of something coming fast and angry. James stood at the front of the ship, his eyes locked on the radar. Kiro sat behind him, strapped in, his heart beating like a drum. "They've found us again," James muttered. "How?" Kiro asked. "We powered everything down. They're using deep scan tech," James replied. "Military grade. That means they're not pirates this time." Kiro swallowed hard. "They're soldiers." James nodded slowly. "Yes, and they're not here to talk." The radar screen showed 3 red dots closing in. The Sparrow had no weapons, no shields, strong enough to hold off a military ship. It was built for speed, not for battle. "We have one option," James said, hands flying across the controls. "What is it?" Kiro asked. "We run." Engines roared to life. The small ship blasted out of the asteroid shadows, pushing full speed into open space. The stars blurred around them. But the red dots didn't fade. They followed like wolves chasing a wounded deer. Kiro looked back at the screen. "They're still behind us." "I know," James said through clenched teeth. "Why don't you give me to them?" Kiro asked. "If they want me, maybe they'll stop." James shot him a hard look. "Don't say that again. You're not cargo. You're not a target. You're a child, and I don't leave children behind." Kiro looked down, ashamed, but also safe. Outside, the Sparrow flew into a debris field, broken ships, satellites, pieces of forgotten war. James turned hard left, spinning between twisted metal and floating wreckage. "We're heading to the dark zone," he said. "What's that?" "A place the military avoids. Too dangerous. No light, no comms. But if we make it through, they can't follow." Kiro gripped the chair tighter. "What happens if we get lost?" James smiled faintly. "Then we make a new map." They entered the dark zone. Immediately, all outside light disappeared. The stars vanished. Everything turned pitch black. Only the ship's internal glow lit the path. Static filled the radio. The tracking signal went silent. James whispered, "Now we see if they're brave enough to follow." Hours passed. The Sparrow floated quietly through the shadows. No pursuit, no sound. Kiro sat near the back, wrapping a blanket around himself. He was tired, but his mind was loud. He walked to James, who sat watching the radar. "You didn't sleep," Kiro said. "Didn't need to." "You're lying." James chuckled. "You're starting to sound like a soldier." "I don't want to be a soldier." "Good," James said. "Soldiers follow orders. You think for yourself." Kiro looked out the window, though there was nothing to see. "Do you think we'll ever stop running?" James didn't answer. That silence was enough. Suddenly, the ship jerked. Lights flickered. Something hit them small, fast, sharp. "What was that?" Kiro shouted. James checked the screen. "Automines. This zone is filled with them. Leftovers from the last war. We just set one off. Is the ship okay?" James didn't answer right away. He pressed a few buttons, then cursed under his breath. Engines leaking plasma. "We can still fly, but we're leaving a trail." Kiro understood. "Oh. Find us again?" James nodded. "Unless we fix it." He stood up, grabbed a toolkit, and opened a floor hatch. "I need to go underneath. It's tight, but I've done worse." "I'll help," Kiro said. James paused. "It's dangerous." "I don't want to wait and feel useless." James smiled. "You're not useless. But, all right. Just follow my lead." They crawled into the narrow maintenance tunnel. It was hot, loud, and cramped. Pipes hissed. Lights flickered. James found the leak fast, but it was deep between 2 sharp panels. "Hand me the sealant," he said. Kiro passed the small bottle. James sprayed it, then wiped the area. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the ship. Missile impact. The computer's voice called out. "Minor damage. Rear stabilizer hit." James cursed. They're here already. How? Kiro asked. James tightened a bolt. They followed the plasma trail. That mine gave us away. He finished the patch. Let's move. They crawled out. Back in the cockpit, James checked the radar. A single ship was on their tail. Not three. Just one. A recon ship, James said. Fast and light. They came ahead to stop us. What do we do? James looked at Kiro. We fight smart. He turned the ship suddenly, flying back toward the debris field they had passed earlier. We're going to make them crash. The Sparrow weaved through the wreckage. The recon ship followed, firing short-range pulses. Sparks flew outside. One hit the Sparrow's wing. We're not going to make it, Kiro shouted. Yes, we are, James replied. I've got one last trick. He hit a switch on the panel. Behind them, the Sparrow dropped its back cargo panel, releasing old scrap and debris. The recon ship, flying too close, smashed into the junk. Its engine sparked and it spun out of control, crashing into a floating piece of an old cruiser. The explosion was silent, but bright. The Sparrow escaped the blast zone, damaged but flying. Kiro sat down, breathing fast. That was terrifying, James said. Kiro nodded. Yeah. James leaned back, exhausted. Get some rest, he said. I'll fix what's left. Kiro looked at him. You saved me again. James smiled. It's becoming a habit. Later, in the silence of deep space, James whispered to himself, they won't stop hunting us. But I won't stop protecting him. And far behind them, another ship received a message. Recon lost. Send backup. They're heading for Arc-9. The hunt wasn't over. The Sparrow limped through the quiet of space. One engine was offline. The wing was scorched. Lights inside flickered like tired eyes. But the ship still moved slowly, stubbornly, just like the man flying it. Captain James sat at the controls, his hands shaking. Blood stained the side of his shirt. A sharp piece of metal had pierced his side during the last attack. He hadn't told Kiro how bad it was. Kiro stood behind him, watching silently. He had wrapped James's wound as best as he could, but he wasn't a doctor. He was just a child, trying not to panic. You need rest, Kiro said. James smiled weakly. We're almost there. Where? James pointed to a blinking blue light on the screen. Arc-9, an old science colony. Abandoned. Now, but it has oxygen, water, medbots. We can hide there. Kiro looked at the man who had saved him over and over again. Now, James could barely sit straight. Will the bots help you? If I can activate them? James whispered. You'll have to guide the ship when we land. Kiro froze. Me? You've seen me do it? I'll talk you through it. Kiro's hands trembled. I'm not ready. James looked at him, eyes full of quiet strength. You're more ready than you think. As Arc-9 appeared, a heady, small gray planet with lights blinking on its surface, James slipped out of the pilot's seat. Kiro climbed in. The controls felt too big. His heart pounded. Steady, James said, voice soft. Angle us toward that ridge. Kiro nodded. His fingers gripped the handles. Slowly, the ship turned. A message flashed. Landing gear deployed. Warning. Low fuel. Manual entry required. Kiro gritted his teeth. The Sparrow dove through the atmosphere. The ship shook violently. James coughed. Ease the descent. Now reverse thrusters. Kiro hit the button. The ship slowed. A small station appeared on a flat cliff, rested, but standing. Almost there, Kiro cried. The ship jolted hard but landed rough but safe. They had made it. Kiro helped James off the ship. The air outside was cold and thin, but breathable. Broken towers rose around them, full of vines and silence. Inside the station, old machines flickered as emergency power came on. Kiro dragged James to a med pod and slammed the activation panel. Lights blinked red, then green. Analyzing patient. Injury critical. ... Beginning auto treatment. James's eyes closed. Kiro sat beside the pod for hours. He didn't move, didn't speak. He just watched the man who gave him everything, and hoped it wasn't goodbye. The next day, James still hadn't woken up. Kiro explored the station. Dust covered the walls. Old screens blinked with forgotten data. He found a control room with a window looking out into space. He sat there, alone in his pocket. He held something James had given him earlier, a small metal pendant, a soldier's dog tag. It read, James Rayner, Earth Division. If found, return home. Kiro looked at the tag for a long time. What is home? He whispered, back on his planet. Home was a small house made of stone. His mother's laughter, warm bread, a carved wooden toy. But that place was gone. And yet, he didn't feel homeless anymore. He looked at the med pod behind him. James was his home now, not the ship, not the planet, not even Earth, just him. Later, the med pod beeped. James stirred, groaning. Kiro ran to him. James, still here? James asked weakly. Where else would I go? Kiro said, trying not to cry. James smiled. Good answer? You scared me, Kiro whispered. Scared myself too. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Kiro said, I thought home was a place, a house, a world. But now I think it's a person. James looked at him with tired but proud eyes. Your right home is someone who stays. I want to stay, Kiro said. James reached out and squeezed his hand. Then I'll stay too. Outside the station, clouds moved across the gray sky. Stars blinked above like quiet witnesses. Inside, a wounded man and a lost boy rested in a corner of the galaxy no one cared about. But to them, it was enough. It was safe. It was home. But far beyond Arc 9, in the black corridors of deep space, a message was received by a military commander. Sparrow confirmed, landed on Arc 9. Target still alive. Orders. The reply was short. Prepare for retrieval. End this. The silence of Arc 9 was deep. Deeper than space itself. Kiro stood on the roof of the old science station, looking up at the stars. They looked peaceful. But he knew peace was a fragile thing. Below, Captain James slept in a real bed for the first time in weeks. The medpod had done its job. He was healing. Kiro smiled softly. He had done everything James asked. He'd landed a ship, repaired systems, even activated old solar panels. But now, something felt wrong, too quiet, too still. Then, a faint sound reached his ears. A hum, a distant vibration. He turned quickly. In the sky above, a dark shape appeared. Not a bird. Not a cloud. A ship bigger than the Sparrow. Black, cold, and official. A military vessel. They had found them. Kiro ran down the stairs 2 at a time. He burst into James's room. They're here, he shouted. A military ship. It's landing. James sat up fast, pain shooting through his body. How far? Just outside? We have minutes. James grabbed his jacket and opened a hidden panel in the wall. Side was a small black box's emergency beacon. They came for me, he said. Or for you. Or both. Kiro's eyes were wide. What do we do? We talk, James replied. No more running. Kiro stepped back. But what if they shoot? What if they take me away? James walked to him and placed both hands on his shoulders. No matter what happens, I won't let them take you. You hear me? You are not a threat. You are not a mistake. You are my responsibility now. Kiro blinked back fear. Then I'll stand with you. James smiled. That's my boy. Outside, wind swirled as the large ship touched the surface. Its engines hissed. A ramp lowered. 4 soldiers in white armor stepped down. Behind them, a man in a black coat followed Commander Hale. Cold eyes, hard voice. No smile. Captain James Rayner, he said, walking forward. You've broken 5 military laws, harboring alien life, disobeying protocol, disappearing from duty. James stood tall, and I'd do it again. The soldiers raised their weapons. Slightly, Hale raised a hand to stop them. Where is the alien? Kiro stepped forward. I'm here. Hale studied him. You're the last of your kind, aren't you? Kiro said nothing. Hale turned back to James. You risked your life. For this, child. This is not your daughter. This is an alien. James stepped between them. He's not just an alien. He's a survivor. A child. A living being who did nothing wrong. The law doesn't care. Then the law is broken. James said. Hale's eyes narrowed. We have orders. Bring the boy back to Earth for study. You can come with him. Or you can be charged with treason. James didn't flinch. You're not taking him. One of the soldiers moved forward. Kiro held his breath. Then, without warning, James took the emergency beacon and threw it to the ground, smashing it. The soldiers froze. James raised his hands. You want to charge me? Do it. But you're not touching him. Kiro stepped beside him. If you take him, you take me. Hale looked at the 2 man and boy, standing side by side like family. The wind blew through the broken towers. The station stood silent. Then Hale spoke again. Do you know what Earth is like now, Captain? James didn't answer. People are afraid, Hale continued. They think all aliens are enemies. You walk in with this boy, they won't see hope. They'll see a threat. Then they need to see something different, James said. Let us be that. Hale paused. Then he gave a single nod. To hell with it. He turned to his soldiers. Stand down. Kiro's eyes widened. What? You're lucky, Hale muttered. You're both ghosts now. This station doesn't exist on any maps. You want to stay here, fine. But if you ever come back to Earth, I can't protect you. James nodded. We'll stay. Hale looked at Kiro one last time. You're not the enemy, kid. Just don't give anyone a reason to fear you. Then he walked away. The ship lifted off minutes later, disappearing into the black sky. That night, James and Kiro sat on the rooftop again. The stars above looked different now. Not dangerous, just free. You could have let them take me, Kiro said softly. I told you, James replied. You're my responsibility now. Kiro smiled. No, I'm your family now. James looked at him, then wrapped his arm around his shoulders. Yeah, you are. Weeks passed. The station came back to life, solar power restored, food systems reactivated. James taught Kiro how to fix engines, how to cook Earth food, how to laugh again. Kiro read books about Earth, about its oceans, its animals, its people. He didn't hate them anymore. He was curious, and one day he said, maybe, someday, we can go back. James looked out at the stars. Maybe. Years later, a shuttle landed quietly on Earth. Out stepped a young alien boy. Taller now, braver. Beside him, man with gray in his beard and pride in his eyes. People stared. Cameras clicked. Soldiers stood ready, but no one fired. A little. Girl walked up and asked Kiro, "Who are you?" Kiro smiled. "I'm the child of a human soldier.